Howdy. Sorry, I couldn't help it seeing the Clint Eastwood image as I was welcoming you back to 12 Months to Mastery, back to the modules. And this week's module is something that gets talked about a lot, but rarely ever gets explained outside of ranting posts that don't make a whole lot of sense. So the reason I picked Clint Eastwood here, besides him being a badass, is that when it comes to the idea of being emotionally unreactive, the best example, the best image that I've ever heard came from this crazy Australian guy I used to hang out with. Can't even really call him a friend. And he said, the thing about being unreactive is that you want to imagine Clint Eastwood. There's like an old-time saloon. Clint's sitting there drinking his beer. A fight breaks out next to him. Guns are pulled. Clint just sits there, sipping his beer. That's being emotionally unreactive. It's the idea that no matter what happens, you're going to maintain your emotional stability. You're not going to get thrown off course. Clint doesn't get scared when the fight breaks out. He doesn't get angry. He just sits there sipping his beer. He's having no emotional reaction to the events outside of himself. That's what it means to be unreactive. When any guru out there screams, "Be unreactive, man," what they're really meaning is when two people interact, one person will emotionally react to the other one more. And it might be a positive emotional reaction, it might be a negative emotional reaction, but whoever is reacting more has less social power. What that means is that we want to react as little as possible to retain as much of our social power as we possibly can. So, one way I like to think about it is like a light switch. If I'm talking to a girl and she starts laughing, she starts getting angry, she starts getting really emotionally invested in the conversation, she's reacting more. However, if I go and start talking to a girl and I start stuttering or tripping over my words or getting really nervous or doing any of these things that let her know that I'm emotionally affected, then she's going to know she has a lot more social power than me, and she's actually going to be less attracted to me. So what we want to do is we want to maintain our emotional stability. Wherever our emotional range is, some of us are very positive, happy, upbeat people who are 100% happy. That's what you want to keep going. No matter what happens, you keep that 100% happiness. Other people are more measured. Some people are more cynical and caustic, like myself. And that's kind of what you want to maintain. The idea of unreactive isn't that you need to kind of be 100% positive or 100% negative. It's that you just want to stay on an even keel. You don't want to start reacting to the girl, or even worse, visibly reacting to the girl. The reason for this is that the number one rule of pickup, which is something that was taught to me years ago in Dallas by my mentor, Captain Jack, my pickup mentor. I'm kind of like George St. Pierre. I went around and studied with everybody and lived in different places. But the number one rule of pickup, something that I still teach, something that I believe in to the very essence of my pickup being, is ignore anything that cannot help you. Reactivism is the number one enemy of pickup success. Let me state that again because it's pretty profound. Ignore anything that cannot help you. Anything. Whatever it is. I remember the first time I really saw the power of this rule, Captain Jack and I had met these two girls and taken them out of the club and gone to get breakfast with them. And CJ was talking to his girl, and he said, "I like your tattoo." And she said, "Oh, thanks, but it's not a happy tattoo. I got it the day my dad died." And it was almost as if a record had stopped. I was like, oh shit. Shit is about to go bad. But luckily, being the master ninja that he is, CJ just said, "Wow, it's really bright in here." Change the subject. He recognized that there was nothing in that statement that could help him, and he just instantly changed the subject. A lot of the time, guys make problems for themselves by reacting to things that are not real. They react to a facial expression, or they're feeling that for some reason the girl is uncomfortable, or they for some reason think they screwed up, or there's an awkward silence, and they react to these things that you want to just ignore. And that's the whole idea of being unreactive, is you just ignore most things. You focus your attention and your energy strictly on the things that are helping the interaction and are moving this interaction with this woman in front of you forward. So remember, the number one rule of pickup supersedes everything other than situational relevance, which is my other number one rule of pickup. I have a lot of number one rules of pickup, but you ignore anything that can't help you. If it can't help you, don't focus on it. Now, one of the things that a lot of guys have problems with when it comes to the idea of being unreactive is that they think being unreactive means that they're going to be unresponsive or unexpressive. Nothing could be further from the truth. You don't need to be an emotionless zombie in order to be unreactive. What you need to do is you need to not have emotional reactions to the things that are happening. So you're talking to a girl and, you know, you're talking about whatever. You're in a good mood, you're, you know, in state, all those things, and she does something to mess with you. She tests you, or she maybe doesn't pay attention for a second, or even it's just not going that great. The idea of being unreactive is not to kind of then just be emotionless and flat, and because you're being unreactive, that's actually a reaction. The whole idea of unreactive is you're not going to change. You're not going to be swayed from your emotional state no matter what they do. The reason being unreactive is attractive is because women are attracted to guys who are independent, autonomous, who don't take things too seriously, and who have things in their life. When you're unreactive, you're showing you're not taking this interaction with a stranger too seriously. That says a lot of good things about you. It says you probably have women in your life. It says you have the proper level of emotional input. You're not going to get needy. You're not taking them too seriously. You're allowing them to have emotional reactions without you getting wound up. It says a lot of positive things about you. But you're not being unreactive if you're just standing there and staring at the girls. On some forum, there was a thread years ago where the guy was like, "Yeah, I've discovered how to be unreactive, but it's not working. What I'm doing is I'll go out and I'll just say nothing. I'll just stare at the girls. And they'll sit there for a few minutes and then they'll get weirded out." And that's not being unreactive. That's being weird and creepy. Again, the idea is nothing is going to stop you from having a good time. Nothing is going to stop you from being in a good emotional state. Whether the girl likes you or not, you're having fun. Your fun is the most important thing to you. That's another really good way to be unreactive mentally, is to be focused on things that you're enjoying, that you think are fun. Because if you're having fun, you're going to chase that fun as opposed to chasing the girl's reactions. When you chase the girl's reactions, and when you are trying to get her to do something, or you're trying to get her to, when you're trying to do something to react to what she just did, you're losing value, and you're basically an entertainer. So, the unreactive attitude is something I want to share with you here. And when it comes to being unreactive, you want to adopt a simple attitude. When it comes to dealing with women, nothing is a big deal and nothing is a problem. So you're out at the bar, you start talking to a girl, it's going real good, not a big deal. It starts to go bad, not a problem. You start making out with a girl, then, you go to get drinks, and you come back and she's talking to her friends, two of whom are big, good-looking dudes. Not a big deal, not a problem. You are texting a girl, and you guys are texting back and forth, and she just won't meet up. She won't let you, see her. Not a big deal, not a problem. No matter what a girl says or does, you have to act outwardly as if nothing is a big deal, nothing is a problem. I've been in situations where I was talking to a girl and two of her friends were just basically shit-talking me, like out of the corner of my eye, like to the left, talking about my hair, my tattoos. And, at first I was like, oh, fuck, is the girl going to hear them and like me less? And then I was just like, whatever, I can't control it. Nothing's a big deal, nothing's a problem. Just ignored it, ended up going home with that girl that night. So it's a really important and profound difference when you adopt an attitude of being emotionally unreactive. When you decide that no matter what the situation with girls, and again, you don't want to be unreactive in everything in your life. There are certain situations where emotions are normal and healthy, and in relationships, you don't want to be unreactive. But in pickup, when you're picking up girls, let me rephrase, not when you're dealing with girls in all of the various ways that you might have to deal with them, but in pickup for the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even the first day you meet her, you want to adopt this unreactive attitude. Nothing's a big deal, nothing's a problem. Until you sleep with her. Let's use that as a good base rule. Until you sleep with a girl, be unreactive to everything she does. Even if it's pissing you off. The last girlfriend I had, she came over one night and she was really drunk and we were hanging out and she got really mad at me and she said she was going to go text another guy, or she was going to go over to another guy's house and bang him. And she texted me later like he was bad in bed. Turns out it was a lie, or so she says. But even though it was like, I was like, oh, fuck. She's like texting me about how she's like banging another guy. I knew that we were in an open relationship, so I had to be like, okay, nothing's a big deal. Nothing's a problem. LOL. That sucks that guy was bad in bed. Like, and that's the idea, is nothing emotionally affects you. You're a wall emotionally, and you're a positive wall. You're not like a cold, distant wall, because that's not emotionally unreactive. When you're being pouty or you're like, oh, don't talk to me, like that's the opposite of unreactive. Unreactive is smiling and friendly. Like, oh yeah, it actually genuinely didn't affect you. And this can be really crazy to girls because they're used to everything they do being so important to guys. So when you show them that it's not that important, that you're outwardly, take it or leave it, very, very powerful. Being unreactive is probably, it's a form of, I don't know if it's a form of frame control or not. I'm trying to think about that, but it's definitely in the top 5 to 10. Like at best, it's like the 5th most important thing when it comes to talking to girls. At worst, it's like the 10th most. So keep track of that. I say these from here and here. I talked about frame control being really important. I talked about state. So far, I would say those are like the three most important things I've taught you: state, frame control, and now being unreactive. Everything else is like tactical or technique wise. Those are like big picture ideas that really make big differences. So be aware of that. All right, let's recap. In today's video, we learned what it means to be emotionally unreactive. It doesn't mean we're gonna be a blank zombie. It doesn't mean we're never going to express emotions. It means that we need to always outwardly appear cool and collected no matter what a girl does. We don't react. It means basically, for the first part, we're going to only express positive emotions towards the girl. So, when you meet a girl, it's all fun and friendly and masculine and good emotions. And if she does something we don't like, it's still fun and friendly and good emotions, but with the appropriate toggling, which we'll talk about. But again, in attraction, in the beginning, just ignore it. Ignore it, or use the passing test stuff we'll talk about next week. Because again, the number one rule of pickup is ignore anything that doesn't help you. Anything. It's a weird counterintuitive thing, because you think, especially if you're a more analytical, educated, systems-based guy, that you have to know everything in order to move forward, and you have to react to everything. And if you have the right reaction, then you'll get the girl. But a lot of the time, the right reaction is no reaction. The right reaction is to just do nothing, to be lazier, to like do less. It's weird, because you think doing more would get better results, but not always the case. All right, now I'm going to give you an exercise. And this exercise actually requires a partner, a friend, someone you hire if you don't have any friends, an acting student. If you join an acting class or something, this is something you can do with your partner. What you're going to do is start a conversation with your partner using the tactics we've learned up till this point: opening, social comfort, the attraction techniques, storytelling. Your partner will then purposely try to mess you up by testing you, asking you questions, taking you off conversational topics, interrupting you, talking over you. Your goal is to remain non-reactive and keep the conversation going forward no matter what, without reacting to what your partner is doing. So don't mention it, don't notice it. Your idea here is to act like it didn't even happen, and to just keep giving positive emotions and positive conversational tools to move forward. This is a great exercise. I really, really recommend you guys do this. Okay, I kind of alluded to this next week, but in the next video, we're going to kind of add another piece here to being non-reactive, to emotional stimulation, emotional fluidity. We're going to talk about how to pass any test a woman throws at you quickly and easily. Luckily for you, I have developed and been teaching a formula for passing women's tests for years and years that is 100% successful and foolproof. So I will see you next week when I teach you that system.